Welcome to Women Don't Do That, where we empower you with inspiration, knowledge, and skills to redefine your boundaries and unleash your potential. I'm Stephanie Minton, founder and CEO of Beacon North Strategies and your guide. Small town girl turned CEO while navigating career, motherhood, ADHD, and chronic migraines. Our conversations range from interviews with visionary women to solo episodes filled with actionable insights. We are your hub for turning what ifs into let's go. Are you ready to redefine your possible? Let's get started. In this episode, we're sitting down with Noelle Shangraw, boxing coach, two-time Ontario female boxing champion, and CEO of both Ottawa Valley Sport and Ottawa Valley Boxing. From the ring to the boardroom, Noelle has made a powerful impact on her community and beyond. Get ready for an inspiring conversation with a true powerhouse that is just getting started. Welcome, Noelle.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Thanks for coming. I wanted to start by talking about how we met. And I love it because we were at a reception at the American Embassy, which was also focused on women. And then was really inspired by your story and what you're doing, and a lot of parallels to my own life. And just really clicked with you. So thank you for doing this.
Yes, I'm super happy to be part of this. Thanks for allowing me to come on your podcast.
Great. Let's start by getting to know you better. What does life look like for you right now?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm very busy. Um, right now, we just opened up Ottawa Valley Boxing. It's a registered boxing club under Boxing Ontario in Petawawa, Ontario. We opened that in September officially.
Mhm.
And on top of that, just everything with Ottawa Valley Sports, just trying to continue what we're trying to build in the community.
Mhm.
It's been it's been quite busy,
Yes.
but loving every moment of it. So,
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Well, we'll definitely dive into some of the details about those exciting things that you're doing. Can you share what motivates you to live your best life?
what motivates me? Purpose.
Okay.
I want to live a life full of purpose, and purpose to me looks like giving back to the community.
Mm,
Um, and in my way, I guess that's through sport,
mm,
mainly because I've received so much
mm.
from sport, whether that's like life skills or just having mental outlets, having ways to cope, learn, build relationships. And that's what I want to be able to give back to the community through that purpose.
That's amazing. Well, you can tell how much boxing is a part of your life, and certainly how it shaped your story. You're a two-time Ontario female boxing champion, which is really exciting and very impressive. Can you talk about your journey in boxing? What led you to get to that place where you became a champion?
Oh, that's a good one. So I started actually boxing pretty late.
Okay.
I was 25 when I started, but absolutely loved it. Like I played sports throughout my life. Like I played baseball and hockey and different sports, but it was never like in a competitive way,
Mhm.
just like recreational or house leagues. But boxing, I don't know what it did. It just did something for me that nothing, like I was very, very driven and I wanted to win.
Mm.
It was a really fun experience for me. But yeah, I started training and I put myself right into it. And within 1 year, I won two Ontario championships. So it was my name came out of any like nowhere, really, because a lot of the girls that I competed against had been like training since they were younger, like 18, 19, 20. And here's me coming in and then within 1 year at the top of my weight category. So
That's so impressive. I love that story because it also just speaks so much to your innate ability and your natural ability. And even though you found it maybe a little bit later than traditionally, how good you were at it, that's really amazing.
yeah, it was hard. Like we were all beginners, right? There was things that I wasn't so good at in the beginning. But I worked very hard and I trained a lot. I probably would say I overtrained, which you shouldn't do either. But I put my heart into soul in it and I wanted to be the best I could be in that sport. And it was so fun. So fun. It was I always say the 26th year of my life was like one of the best. And now getting into, we're almost 10 years now. And it's now I'm looking at, it's a new chapter and I'm really excited for what's coming next. Because now I get to, give all that knowledge, all that experience that I gained in those years back.
Right. The
So.
transitions in sports for athletes can be really challenging, into adulthood or into other jobs. You moved on from boxing. Can you talk about that transition?
The transition out of boxing was hard because it was through an injury. So felt like in that moment, I'm sure a lot of athletes that have suffered injuries can relate to this, but you lose your self-identity
Yes.
uh, because that's like who you are for years, and an injury in a split second can take you out, and you're like, who am I? What do I do next? So there was definitely some years that were hard
hmm
and came with a lot of like different challenges for me on a personal level, kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. I stayed within the same industry though. So I stayed in sports, I stayed in fitness, and I coached, I personal trained. I worked at the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center for a few years, that was a great place to work, and loved every moment of it. So it just finding other ways to continue what I love to do,
hmm
but not compete.
hmm
So, and same now, like now, right? Like I can't compete, but I can give that, or allow people to compete under me.
hmm When you talk about that, it's interesting. I feel like so many listeners will be able to identify with your story, especially if they are former athletes and the transitions that they went through. I had an injury in my sport too, and you're just making me kind of remember how that went and how uh, things were just never quite the same ever again. And things needed to look differently. And that can be challenging. I even remember I was a gymnast when I was younger, which is not something that you can do, at my age the same. It doesn't take long, probably past your 20s, till you're starting to get worse and worse instead of better and better. And when I got my injury, I was elite cheerleading at the time. And then I transitioned to, and you might laugh at this, trampolining because it was so much easier on your joints. And what I loved about it is I was still getting better.
Okay.
Where in gymnastics, you're starting to decline. So it's mid 20s, and then I got pregnant. And when I went to see my doctor, I was like, oh, I was quite young and I was like, can I still take trampolining? And they were like, no, like your body is changing like every day. And so you can't do that. And I never went back. And
Oh,
I do miss it. And now that my kids are doing those kinds of activities, and I miss it. So I was even thinking about this morning, like maybe I should go back to trampolining. So I don't know, maybe you'll inspire some of us to get into the things we once loved.
yes, yes. Honestly, I really feel this is like maybe a sign to reach out to a trampoline place,
Yes,
um,
after
and get
this.
back into it.
Yeah, I also have to say I've been following this TikToker that I like, and she boxes for her way of doing exercise, and every time I see her do it, she's in amazing shape and she loves it. And so I've also actually been thinking about would I like boxing because I was a competitive athlete and I love that side of it, but it's too bad your gym wasn't in my city. Maybe we could meet up and do some training.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things like you just made me think of one of the members that we have here. He used to box when he was younger and again kind of pulled away from it in his years and then has found it again. So
Yeah.
it's finding those things that we loved when we were younger and kind
Yes.
of regaining, obviously going back into it slowly and because
Yes.
our bodies age and things get a little harder.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I really like that. And I feel like it's finding some things that bring happiness still for ourselves. And it's, we a lot of times we talk about self-care for
Mhm.
it being like, taking care of us at home and doing like massages or going to the spa. But a lot of times self-care is also that physical activity.
Yes.
Because it's that mental outlet for that hour. that you don't have to think about work. You don't have to think about what you got to do next. You just, and in boxing specifically, all you got to do is think about your next punch.
Yeah. It's like if you're not paying attention, you're gonna get hit in the face. This is how it works.
Yeah, and
Yes.
we do have recreational classes. So, like for people that don't want to get hit in the face, they can still come in, learn the sport without getting punched in the face.
Right. Yes. Oh my goodness. What, I guess, was the start of your coaching journey? Was that kind of that transition from competition, or what inspired you to start coaching?
Um, so I think it was after one of my fights, my coach came up to me and he said, I think you'd be a really good coach. And I started laughing at him. And I was like, what? A coach like me? And he's like, yeah, I think you'd be a really good coach. And he's like, plus it'll make you a better boxer. And I was like, what do you mean a better boxer? Like I couldn't put it together because I was still a student, right? I was still
Right.
very learning. And I decided to do it. And at the time, I was the only female coach at that club, uh,
Wow.
which was empowering in itself at the time. And I ran like women's programs, did some few things, and yeah, it definitely did make me a better boxer because you're seeing things from different perspectives. You're
Hmm.
learning also how to coach people, which is a different role
Hmm.
to have. And
Yes.
learning, everybody learns differently, and it's over the years, I learned ways of doing things, and but in the beginning, it was okay, how do I go about this if that person's not getting that cue or not getting the way I instructed? It's learning how to coach, really.
Hmm. Yeah, it is a special skill. I coached gymnastics for many years, and I loved doing it. And always thought it was funny, those middle teenage years were middle school where people would say, "Oh, they're so difficult." I'm like, I loved coaching them. Like it was a great fit for me, and I really enjoyed kind of coaching that middle age group that everybody else tried to stay away from. You mentioned something really interesting there, which was about being a woman in a male-dominated sport. Can you talk about that experience?
Yes, so that has come with its challenges. Um, yeah, it's been fascinating. I feel like it's made me a stronger person throughout
Mhm.
the course of my life. Just learning, when you're like in the beginning, I'll go back to the beginning. I walked into a club, there was like 30 men and like two, three girls, and I was very uncomfortable. You're like, what am I doing here? But you slowly learn how to fit in. You usually have to press a little harder. I had to press a little harder to just succeed in that sport. And then as well, I found even with coaching actually I feel like came with more challenges because I'm a woman, because a
Mm.
lot of people don't want to listen to women, especially in a
Oh.
male dominated sport. So that's been, I feel like that itself is a little bit more challenging, and learning how to navigate
Mhm.
that in a way that's like professional, considerate of the athletes, but at the same time making sure I have boundaries in place,
Yeah.
because I have run into problems with that. But it's learning how to stand strong as a woman, and
Mhm.
yes, a woman owning a boxing club
Yeah.
is another big, you know what I mean? It's not common. There's a few, like I know Jill Perry has been running Beaver Boxing Club in Ottawa for a very long time, and it's amazing what she's done there. But you don't see it too often.
Right.
But now you know what I mean? We're seeing it more, and it's so exciting to see more women coming forward as leaders, as
Right.
doing things in the sports community in general. Like even with Ottawa Valley Sports, a lot of times people just assumed it was a male that was leading Ottawa Valley Sports, and it's me.
Yes.
Because the thing is, like, this building sports in the community and kind of lifting all those up, whether we're a woman or a man, it's beneficial to the community.
Hmm.
So, and I just, like I said, I live by purpose, and I push, and I'm very resilient. And everything's come with lots of challenges, but I live for those in a way. Like I
Yes.
like to push. Like I'm an athlete. I like a little bit of that. So
Well,
uh,
if you can box, I think you're pretty resilient. That even just starting there.
that's funny. Yeah, no, it's It's been a fascinating journey.
Yeah, it's is that aspect of involving women, seeing more women in boxing, is that important to you in your gym?
Yes. And I love that there are more women coming. So, for example, our competition class we just started this month, we have two women
Yay.
who want to compete, and we have three guys, but those ratios are pretty close.
Yes,
Which is so exciting to see more women in. And a lot of the times I've been hearing from even our women's class, it's a women running the class.
right,
Oh, so
right.
I'm trying to pull in, like, obviously I still want like males and females, everybody, make it
Yes,
as inclusive as possible. But it is very nice to see more women in sport, and specifically in a sport that is mainly male dominated.
right. What took you from coaching to opening your own gym? What was that transition like?
Opening my own club was a dream.
Okay.
Um,
Always, like for a long time, you saw that?
yeah.
Okay.
So, if I go back, we're going to go back about 10 years. I was doing my fitness and health diploma at Durham College, and we had an assignment. And the assignment was to, what do you want to do with the diploma? What do you want to do in the future? What is your goal? And my goal was to have my own boxing club.
Mm,
And at the time, I remember thinking it's because I wanted to give back to those what I received from the club that gave so much to me. Looking back now, it's full circle.
right,
Going, oh my goodness, that came true. Because now
right. Yeah,
I'm
that's
doing,
amazing. You did it.
yeah. So it's just one of those things, like little Noelle or like 25-year-old Noelle would be very happy right now.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah. It's very impressive. When you think about women listeners, let's say, what would you say to them if they're interested in maybe exploring boxing, or like why should they consider boxing as a form of exercise?
because if you've had, let's say example, I've seen this a lot with just women's classes in general. If you've had a crappy week, and it hasn't been a good week,
I
you have
think a lot of women have
you have a
crappy
way
weeks.
to release, you have a way to take whatever is inside of you and put it on something. And I feel I was actually just talking about this topic with someone recently. For a lot of years, it's been something wrong for women to have emotion, or for women to be angry, or women to
Right.
have any frustration in general. So think of how much over these generations women's have been holding inside their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And find like a healthy outlet to get it outside of your body versus holding
Hmm.
all that negative energy inside.
Right.
It's what I like, you know what I mean? I talk about the women about. It's like, don't feel shame for hitting a bag that's going to
Right.
release, whatever you're going through inside, because
Right.
that's a healthy coping mechanism, a healthy way to manage your stress. It's
Right.
There's so many benefits
Yeah.
to it that a lot of times, everybody sees the physical benefit,
Right.
but most of the time it's mental, emotional, where you're getting that sense of belonging to within a club.
Right. Making me think, Noelle, maybe you already have this, but I'm like, if you had like a women's only boxing class that was also like a wine night, I feel like you'd be like so wealthy.
And a wine night. Oh, I don't know if
They might,
I
those
don't know if
things might
alcohol and
not
boxing
mix
would mix
well, but it sounds fun in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely a good time, and I like to make it a bit fun too. I always add some good finishers just to, have fun too. It's important, right?
Yes.
We're coming together to, build ourselves up, but also we can't do that without having a bit of fun, and I really like to bug. I really do like to bug.
It's so interesting when I think about your resume and doing research on you ahead of time and conversations we had. You really do put yourself in places where you need to show resiliency or that are male dominated fields, because you also trained military people. So what was that experience like?
Yes. So I worked on the Petawawa military base for a few years, and I trained different military units. So yeah, that was a really interesting experience. Learned a lot, just because it's a completely different culture. It's a completely different environment. I fell in love with my unit. Like I trained a specific unit and I loved them so much. It was such a great time to see that and help people achieve different things because they have like physical tests that they have to attain yearly and they have to be at a certain fitness level and to help those people, achieve different things. It was fascinating. And my last year there, I was awarded a unit coin,
Oh,
which is regarded as something very like civilians, like even myself, I didn't realize like what the meaning of that was. But they don't give out coins very often to civilians. But yeah, that was a really wonderful moment. And I was glad that, they all felt like I gave them that much.
yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. And to get that kind of reward for your hard work when you weren't expecting it, I'm sure was quite special. You're also the spouse now to somebody who is in the military.
Yes, yes.
That is a unique and challenging experience. What would you want people to know about what that is like?
I have to say, military spouses are very strong women.
Yep.
That's one thing.
Yes.
My spouse is away right now,
Mm,
which is interesting that you asked that question. And it's, learning how to balance that because this is the first time I've been with someone in the military and it comes with a lot of new challenges. But I feel, women that are with military members are just you sacrifice a lot. You
hmm.
you have to be patient. It's you have to do a lot of waiting,
Yes.
a lot of things we got to do on our own.
A lot of
And for those,
unknowns, right? Like lots
yes,
of change. Yeah.
and the women with children too. Like I don't have children right now, but I can't imagine having like two little kids running around on top of, them being gone. Yeah, I put my hat off to military spouses and
Yes.
it's worth it, but it's hard. It definitely comes with the challenges.
Right. What advice would you give to other women living that experience?
It's temporary.
Mm,
This too shall pass.
right.
Um, those are some of the things that really resonate with me. I attend like weekly women's circles. I'm a Métis, Indigenous, and I go there, and they always have great things, and they're a very supportive group for women. And I feel like that's something too that we all need. We need that supportive group around us to help us go through
Yes.
these processes. And but honestly, just knowing that all these times are temporary and this too shall pass.
Well, that's great advice for I think anybody going through a hard time, really, right? Is that there's lots of ups and downs, but in between the valleys, there's things on the upswing often too, which is good. Tickets for our second annual Next Gen 2025 event are live. Join me and Natasha Hope Morano as we host a day of professional development and networking on February 11th in Ottawa. Whether you're new to public affairs or seasoned pro, this event will help you advance your career. Early bird registration is open. Don't miss out. Link in show notes. Register now. You talked earlier about Ottawa Valley Sports. You're the CEO. You started it. Can you tell us about what it is and why you started it?
Yeah, so Ottawa Valley Sports is a premier sports platform for the Ottawa Valley. So we have our website, which hosts over 50 different sport organizations across the Ottawa Valley. This is I created this to build awareness because I moved back home. I'm from the Ottawa Valley originally, but I lived in Toronto for 10 years. And when I came home, I had a really hard time finding sports. And I
Mm,
didn't know why it was so challenging to locate different sports just to participate.
you're right.
So I built Ottawa Valley Sports to kind of fill in that gap
Yes.
and give people a place to find everything. And then with that, I noticed, there was a lot of awareness that we needed more. So we started the
Mm,
Ottawa Valley Sports podcast, which highlights sport organizations, coaches, athletes, and really just highlighting what incredible amount of athletes, coaches, and sport organizations are in this area and giving light
yes.
to that.
Yes.
Because sometimes, we know a little bit here, we know a little bit there, but it's kind of bringing it all together, making it all inclusive. Instead of just focusing on a few sports, I wanted everybody to know about all sports, and
Hmm.
because not everybody's going to like the same thing, right? And
Hmm.
in a way to build the engagement, build participation, build awareness for these sports organizations, because I know like COVID hurt a lot of sports.
Hmm.
So building that back up. And then recently this year, we hosted our first Ottawa Valley Sports Show and Conference in Pembroke.
Oh.
We did that, and we had different workshops. We had people from all across the Ottawa Valley, from Carleton Place, Renfrew, Pembroke, Petawawa, and we just amalgamated everybody just to build those connections, start getting to know each other, learn more about sport, because what's going to benefit you could benefit them. Those connections, and just building that sense of community in the sports here. So
Hmm.
we're just the beginning right now. We
Yes.
just had first this year, so I can't wait to see what's next.
Oh, it sounds so exciting. And from someone who grew up in that area, I wish it had have existed when I was growing up. So for people too that are want to know more about it, it is it your website they go to? Do you have a newsletter? Like how do they stay informed about the sports in the area best with your site?
It's ottawavalleysports.com.
Mhm.
And you can go there, you can check out all the sports that are listed on there. And like I said, it's the entire Ottawa Valley. It's not just like one municipality, it's all of the municipalities. And there's events as well. You can put events on there, you can put tournaments. The reason I added the events in the tournaments is because me personally, if I knew there was an event an hour from here that I would really want to go to, I would
Oh,
go if I knew about it.
right.
So trying to fill those, those gaps so people can, make their way around the Ottawa Valley and check out different events. So yeah, the website is the first place to go. We have an Instagram page. It's ov.sports. So we have our podcast on there. You can see different things. We share new sport organizations that join Ottawa Valley Sports. We put little shout outs on there for them, and just any relevant news that comes up that's shared to us, we share it on our stories, share it as much as we can, just to continue building that awareness. And then also we have Facebook, so Ottawa Valley Sports on Facebook, and our divisions, so different divisions, meaning our podcast, our event, our boxing club. Those are all just different divisions of Ottawa Valley Sports. Our Ottawa Valley Sports Show has also its own links. So OV Sports Show on Instagram and Ottawa Valley Sports Show on Facebook,
Okay.
um, as well as Ottawa Valley Boxing has. So a lot of
We'll
different.
make sure to put all of those links in the show notes so people can
Yes, yeah,
find
yeah. There's a few
Noelle
different.
and all of her different adventures. It's for listeners who've been around a while, they'll know I have lots of different things I'm doing too, which I think is part of when we first met. I was like, oh, I see so much of myself in you, like so many interesting things. And I'm sure your mind is reeling with new ideas all the time, like mine too. So yeah, is there anything more about all of Ottawa Valley Sports that you wanted to share before we move on to some other questions?
No, I think I went over it. I think it's okay. If anybody has any questions, or they can always feel free to shoot me a message if they want a little bit more explanation to what we do. Feel free to message. I'm available most of the time.
Like DM you on Instagram or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. You can shoot me a
Okay.
message on Instagram, Facebook, email, whatever
Okay.
works.
Starting something new can be really challenging. So if there's somebody who's listening who wants to start something new, what advice would you give them if they're just at the beginning of their journey?
Hmm. Do it.
Yes, do it.
Because I found, at the beginning of the journey, there's so many doubts that creep in. There's so many what ifs that creep in. We have all these feelings that come, but we just have to trust ourselves at the end of the day. And me, like I've gone through all those feelings. When I first started, it was very scary to go off on my own and trust the process. But when you have that intuition, when you have that feeling inside you, you have to trust it and
Hmm.
trust that you're being led somewhere better. Um,
Hmm.
and it's going to be a great ride. I was going to say hell of
Yes.
a
A hell of a
ride.
ride. Yes. I love that. It's so true. I hear a lot of guests say you just have to get started, right? Which is what you shared too.
Yeah.
And it is scary, but I often say to people, people say trust your gut, right? And I think as women, we're more risk averse sometimes, right? And so when those opportunities do come up to try something new or do something new, um, we take ourselves out of the running sometimes. And I often say, yeah, it's good to trust your gut. Sometimes it's telling you something, but if your gut is just scared, then ignore it. You just need to do it. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I would add to what
Yeah,
Noelle
it's so
said
true.
there.
It's so true because we're all scared. When you're
Yeah.
starting new, it's very scary, but it's just taking that step, like that step forward and trusting.
I love you sharing that because I think sometimes people look at entrepreneurs, they look like someone like you who's doing multiple new things. You've been in boxing, you've been in male dominated fields, and they think, oh, like she's never scared or nervous or any of these things. So you sharing that side and saying, you know what? No, I am. I hope helps listeners see themselves in those kinds of roles and stepping out of their comfort zones too.
Yeah, it honestly is very scary. And a lot of the times, when you see women that are doing all these things in entrepreneur, there is a lot of challenges in there. And even for me, like I mentioned, I used to train the military, so my job was federal pension, all set up, and to
Yeah.
leave that was a huge risk.
Yes.
But I remember it felt like a safety net to me.
Right.
And I'm going to share this because it was one of the best advice pieces I've ever heard. It changed my life. One of the ladies from the Indigenous Center said, to fly, we need to pull back the arrow.
Mm,
And at the time, my safety net was like rocks that were holding down the arrow.
yeah.
So she said, your arrow won't be able to fly forward until you cut the safety net.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, brain.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So basically, we can't fly forward if we're
Yeah.
letting our fears, we're letting these safety nets, yeah, just holding us back. We have to let go and trust. And yeah, that changed my life.
hmm Wow. That is very thought-provoking and very true. I think, yeah, a lot of listeners will be thinking about that one for a while. And yeah, you're making me think I did a similar thing earlier in my life, like left the job with the pension and all the things, and it is scary. And maybe you have some bad bumps along the way, even, right? Or some setbacks. But if you keep the resilience going, you can really lead to something beautiful and fulfilling for your life. The fall courses of the Beacon North Mentorship Academy are here. Join us to boost your advocacy, communication, and media skills. Whether you're new to lobbying or a seasoned advocate, we've got something for everyone. Check out the schedule and secure your spot today. Link in bio for details. You, as we talked about, are involved in multiple things, and a lot of women are, especially moms, right? Like just so much going on. How do you manage things? Do you have any tips for people about how do you manage like multiple things happening?
So right now, because Ottawa Valley Boxing has kind of taken the forefront,
Mhm.
unfortunately, I had to put the podcast on the back burner for now. I plan to bring it back up in the new year. It's just for me right now, I'm building the crew, building up more of a support system for Ottawa Valley Sports in general,
Mhm.
and it's a lot under one hat.
Yes.
So I don't want to, you know, do things in poor quality, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I could, pull myself very thin and burn out, or I
Mhm.
could just, take a step back, prioritize. And that's basically how I've been managing is just prioritizing different things. Once I have a little bit more time, invest more in different things. Plan is in the new year to take Ottawa Valley Sports in general, the podcast, the event, and put that all back into the forefront.
Right. It's very interesting. As you described that to me, I just imagined like the words leadership across your head because that is what leadership is. It's making tough choices. It's yeah, you're exhibiting it and in exactly what you're doing. And it's really challenging to do those kinds of things, that prioritization and stuff sometimes, but it often is exactly what we need to do. And I at different times have put this podcast on pause for different things in my life. And so I can really appreciate having to do some of those difficult things and look forward to, as you're building the structure around these things, those things really thriving in the future. When you look forwards to your life, what do you see as next? Is there a next future goals that you have in mind?
Yeah, so I have a few. I would like the podcast to go back very consistently again. We were doing bi-weekly episodes, so rebuilding that awareness in the community, as well as events. So
Mm,
creating more of the annual events for the Ottawa Valley Sports Show and Conference and investing more in that. And I would like to take that across the valley.
right,
So for right now, like this year, we did it in Pembroke, but I want to make sure that we are targeting different areas. We're not always
right,
primarily in the same spot because I feel what I'm trying to achieve here isn't just for one municipality. So
right.
it's for all. So making sure that we go into the different areas, we focus on different markets is very, very important to me.
Yeah, that's important and good to hear. It sounds like a very laudable goal.
Yeah, and with Ottawa Valley Boxing, obviously I would like that to continue rising. We've been doing well, and then just continuing that, and then the website, of course, just keeping that relevant and moving forward and getting as many organizations on there as possible because the more organizations we have on there, the more is able to be accessed through local communities.
Right. Do you have, as we think about, again, like you managing some of things, having these big goals, are there any particular routines or habits or things that help you with your daily life?
Making sure I rest.
Mm,
Because a lot of times with entrepreneurs, it's a lot of work. We're doing
yes.
a lot, a lot, a lot. So I prioritize rest
Right.
because in my 20s, I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
And I burnt out a lot.
Right.
So it's finding, now I kind of know what my limits are and making sure that I prioritize those, as
Yes.
well as having additional self-care included. So physical exercise obviously is one of mine, but also I was mentioning like the women's circle, the Indigenous Center that I go to every week. And this is like a different type of self-care. So we're going like for emotional, mental, spiritual, all those things. And I try to combine all those wellnesses as much as I can. Obviously, some weeks are challenging to try and fit all that. But that is what keeps me able to move is rest, physical exercise, and making
Hmm.
sure my emotional, mental, and spiritual wellness is half decent.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I think those are all such important messages and so hard. And it's hard to understand sometimes how slowing down can help you speed up or thrive. It really is true. I just turned 40 this summer and I really struggle with that. I imagine I will my whole life, but it's something I'm constantly working on because it really does make a difference. And the point that you made about the exercise in particular is so important. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to jump into the rapid fire questions. We're getting to the end of our time together. Can you share a rule you broke that turned out to be a great decision? Boxing?
In boxing, yeah. I'm not sure.
I mean, even
That's a
just
hard
doing
one.
boxing as a woman, right? You're breaking a societal norm.
Finding different, the only thing I can come up with is finding different ways to do stuff. So instead of following like the same way we were taught or the same rules that we were given, or it's finding ways to go around that and not always follow the grain,
Yes, I love
uh,
that.
and finding like the gray. Uh,
Yes,
and I feel like I've done that with boxing. So finding ways around things, as well as in like work, being able to like offer more services or do things that are like outside of your primary duties,
right,
but are like the best things that we've done. So I would say that is kind of getting outside of the grain.
right. Yeah. Who's a woman who continually inspires you?
I'm going to say Joanne Haskin from
Oh,
Mashkawisi Manitou Foundation in Pembroke.
okay.
She is doing wonders for the community, and I really look up to her.
Amazing. Are there any boxers you look up to?
There's a few. There's Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano are fighting November 15th. That's going to be a good one. They're really, really good fighters in their weight division. It's going to be a great fight. They're actually on the same headline as Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. So
Oh,
that's going to be, yeah, it's free on Netflix.
where is
Uh,
it going to be?
it's on Netflix. I
Okay.
forget where they're fighting, but I'm hosting the fight here at the club. So for members that
Oh,
want to come in and watch. So really looking forward to that. Another boxer that I do like, Clarissa Shields. She's been around for a bit. She's really good. Yeah, there's a bunch.
yeah.
I do like Tyson Fury too on the male side, but
Yeah, well, that's
yeah.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Noelle, for sharing your story and your advice with us. There's so much to take away, and I'm still thinking about that arrow piece. So thank you.
Yes, you can thank Joanne.
Yeah,
The
thank
one
you,
you mentioned
Joanne.
that you said, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, lots of wisdom there.
yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us on Women Don't Do That. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating or review. Connect with us on Instagram at Women Don't Do That and visit our website www.womendon'tdothat.com for more details. Join our Patreon to support our work. Find all of the links in the show notes. Remember, you have the power to transform your what ifs into let's go. Together, let's redefine your possible. Until next time. The opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Women Don't Do That, Stephanie Mitten, or affiliated brands.